Hey guys, Dan here. Welcome to another edition of Dan Reviews It. Taking a look at the Connors and their latest episode, episode 10 for the season, which means there's just one more to go. And this one is called Don't Shoot the Piano Teacher. And a couple of things going on in this episode. This was, first of all, another really good one. Last week's was really on point, and this week maybe not quite to the level of last week's, but I liked it a lot as well. So let's delve into it. There's basically kind of two A stories. It's a little bit like last week's in the fact that there's two stories and they sort of get almost equal time. I would say the A story, though, if I had to pick, would be Becky and her pregnancy. We have actually kind of two plots with that. One is her baby shower, in which we see the Blue character return, Juliette Lewis, as David's girlfriend, and she talks to Darlene at the baby shower about wanting to have kids of her own with David, and would Darlene kind of nudge him in that direction, and she's like, dude, I'm not going to tell David to have more kids when he barely sees the ones he has with me. So, that was sort of a side plot to, not plot, but, they spent like a minute on it at the baby shower. But more importantly, at the baby shower, Jackie invites Emilio, the father of Becky's soon-to-be child. So that sort of makes sparks fly between Becky and Jackie, because she really does not want Emilio to have anything to do with this baby. But Dan meets him at the shower and sees that he's a stand-up guy, and Jackie vouches for him as well. So Dan offers him a job doing drywall part-time with him. So that's kind of the A story. Everything surrounding Becky and her pregnancy and Emilio and the baby shower and all that stuff. And then while that is going on, we also have Darlene's own story, which again, it's almost a double A story. I think this takes up about 50% probably of the time. And that is introducing the kids to Ben, and then Mark ends up taking piano lessons from him. And Darlene, through that, tests Ben as how he might be as a potential stepfather. I mean, we're pretty early on, obviously, in the relationship, but Darlene has not been with that many guys, as we actually go over in the opening scene. She's only slept with 4 guys, so, I think, her having the kids meet him, that says how serious she is, even though it is still pretty fresh. So we see through that he might be a little bit harsh on Mark, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's something that Darlene doesn't really practice so much herself. So we've got both of those things going on, and it's another really good episode. I think the writers have really found that groove of let's put as much as we can into these episodes, but still make them feel complete. Now, once again, Gina, has a couple of lines at the baby shower. We see DJ. He doesn't have any lines. I don't think we see Mary at all again. So again, the DJ Gina thing, either give them something to do or kick them off the darn show. I'm kind of sick of every week, they have a line or two and then they're in and out. I mean, it's a little ridiculous to give them billing in the credits when, Juliette Lewis has had more screen time this season than anybody in DJ's side of the family. So in season 2, if we get a season 2, which, I think we probably will, we won't find out for a few months until ABC makes their fall schedule at the upfronts in May. Usually that's the second week of May. All the networks do that. They may announce earlier that they've renewed it, and I think all signs point to yes on that. I think they're going to renew it. But if they do this season 2, you gotta give DJ and Gina and Mary something to do. Or just have them, look, she's military, have her stationed somewhere else, goodbye, the end. They're just not giving them anything to do. And honestly, the very little I know about Gina, her character in the episode tonight just seemed out of place anyway. It didn't really seem like the Gina that we've met so far. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, everything else, pretty on point. A lot of the same things from the last episode. Now, as I said last week, that episode was actually the last one filmed. I don't know what order they were written, though. But in any event, the writers have seemed to found this groove of being able to tell a complete story, and in fact, 2 complete stories in the allotted 21 and a half minutes. So I'm very happy to see that. I want to see that continue. And I'm not, I'm trying to think of some of the other episodes this season, and, the ones I had issue with in the last season of Roseanne. And I can't really think of any specifics of why, this works better than that. I mean, those scenes seemed too short, they would end very quickly. I don't know if maybe if I counted the number of scenes, maybe there's less scenes in these ones, but it seemed like there were a fair number of scenes. It just seems like they were more complete. We get a full, again, a beginning, a middle, and the end of both of these storylines. Even the Becky Emilio thing, at the end of the episode, okay, nothing's necessarily resolved, but she's like, okay, I'll think about it, and that kind of thing. So, I really like that they have finally found this groove, because the episode last week and this week are just firing on all the cylinders. Lisa Goranson's doing really well. She had a lot of moments in the sun this episode. And I liked seeing a little more of Emma Kenny as Harris, and the boy that plays Mark. I love that we're giving them a couple of more scenes. It's funny. I like it when either they're sort of absent altogether, or if they're part of the plot. If they come in for one scene at the breakfast table, and they have 2 lines, and then they're not in the rest of the episode, that just makes me mad. It's pointless. So I kind of like if they're absent completely, and then we focus on the core Connor family that we knew and loved from the 90s, obviously minus Roseanne. Or if they're part of the plot and we integrate them a little bit more into the episode. Maybe that's part of the writers' issues that they've been having, is that they don't quite know in what capacity to use these children. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But this week I think they used them great. A lot of funny back and forth between Darlene and her 2 kids, especially in that opening scene. I'm really digging the J.R. Ferguson character as the boyfriend. His name's Ben, right? I believe that is true. So, yeah, Ben. So I like that he, is a little bit more involved. At the end of the episode, he offers maybe that they can all move to Chicago together, because he got a call from somebody that wants to move the gossip rag that he runs to Chicago. I don't see that happening. Just from a logistical standpoint of the show, you wouldn't really want to see. Of course, I guess they did a season with Darlene in Chicago at the art school, so who knows. But I think with Roseanne gone, you definitely need Darlene, Dan, and Jackie and Becky all together in that house. Or at least, Jackie doesn't live there, but you know what I mean. So I don't see that actually panning out, but, could be an interesting couple of episodes where they talk about it, and we'll see what happens, I guess. But the humor was there. There was some good jokes. We did have one reference to Roseanne in it. And it was actually kind of cool, because it's something that one of you guys pointed out last week in the comments, is that it seemed a little out of character for Aunt Jackie to be joking about Becky's promiscuity and basically calling her a hoe. And it was something I hadn't really thought of, just because there are so many jokes thrown at her expense in that way. But it's true, not really from Aunt Jackie, So it was a little interesting. But so this week, there was a little bit of that, playfulness with Aunt Jackie, and Becky calls her out. This is the Roseanne mention of the episode, saying hey, according to Mom, you were a bit loose yourself. Basically, they do like a flower garden reference there with the joke, but yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. Becky was kind of standing her own ground, which is something that I think the original Becky, the Lacey Goranson iteration of Becky, and the Sarah Chalke iteration of Becky differed a bit. Goranson's Becky had a slicker tongue. She was quick with a comeback. The Sarah Chalke one, they just didn't write her correctly. I don't blame Sarah Chalke for that, but I'm glad to see that the original Becky version is here with us. As we did Roseanne season 10 and now the Connors. I'm very happy about that. But everybody, was on point. Goodman, they didn't really give Goodman a bunch of laugh lines, but he definitely had an integral part of the plot. I will say it's a little bit interesting dealing with the Emilio character being an illegal. They never flat out say that he is. Jackie says she doesn't know, but then it's kind of obvious that he is just by what is said in future scenes. So it's interesting that they threw a little bit of politics in there, especially, obviously this was written and filmed, a couple of months ago, but, with the whole government shutdown with the wall and all of that. So I think it's interesting that they threw that in there a little bit, and they didn't really elaborate too much on their politics about it. They just kind of said, well, Dan said to him, I don't really like how you got into this country, but, you're a good man and want to provide for my daughter, so here we go. So that is kind of taking sides, I suppose, but they don't go too far into that, which I think is very wise. I think let's keep off the politics, stick with the jokes, stick with the family dynamic, stick with that stuff. Obviously, Roseanne got herself in a little trouble with too much politics, and of course that was kind of a hot button issue in general with the show last season. Oh, it's so political. So I thought it was an interesting choice that they said that. But maybe something will come of it in the future. Maybe there will be an episode about him getting citizenship. I don't know. But certainly maybe something to think about in season 2, along with the DJ and Gina and Mary storyline somewhere. Where is it? Who knows? Hopefully we'll get it. Honestly, I would at this point rather see them off the show entirely. We don't need them. They bring nothing to the table. Goodbye. I'm fine with that. I don't think that will happen, but I think that makes the most sense, because they could write something, but then that's just, one more thread to kind of, to point at. Dan doesn't really have many plots. This whole season, I think he really only had the plot where he went to the grief counseling and all that. I guess you can count the chickens and then the him and Jackie thing as maybe part of a plot. But last season there was a lot of stuff about him working and all that kind of stuff. I guess last week we had the whole medical issue. I guess Dan got a plot line there, but there's no ongoing plot with Dan, and I would like to see that, to be honest, because I love Goodman and the Dan character. But listen, these are musings maybe for as we get closer to season 2. But I would personally like to see either DJ, Gina, and Mary written off the show completely, or give them a friggin' plot. I don't know if Fishman can carry it off, but, we'll see. But anyway, I guess I should grade the episode. It's another good one. I don't think it's up to par with last week's, but it was very good. I'm going to give this one a B+. So just one more to go. So I guess next week I will do an episode wrap-up, and then sort of with that a whole season wrap-up. I think that's what I did for Roseanne season 10. I don't know that we need an entire podcast devoted to wrapping up the season. I think we can do it in a few minutes at the end of the last episode. But but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm excited for next week's finale, and then I'm sure on to season 2. I know nothing's official yet, but I feel very confident about the ratings are good, good enough, I should say, and really, as long as everybody else is on board, and as long as they're not asking for like crazy salary hikes. And what's great is Big Bang Theory will be over, so David could return, maybe even as a regular. That would be awesome. I think we can all agree with that. But that's going to do it. So thanks so much for watching. Comment below. I love hearing from you guys. You guys are so passionate about these episodes, and, often think of things that I have not thought of. So, because I just watched the episode fresh, and then I do these. So sometimes I don't, really mull over things. I just kind of shoot from the hip and whatever I'm thinking. So sometimes I miss things that you guys point out. I love hearing that. And then check us out on Facebook too. Dan Reviews It is the Facebook group. And subscribe if you haven't. I know a lot of you haven't. That's awesome. Keep those subscriptions coming. And that's going to do it. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.